Welcome back to College Press Box. Luke Hensry alongside Bailey Abramowitz, and this is our exclusive segment on the SEC Conference, a 2016 season that has been defined by Alabama's dominance and the LSU coaching change that recently occurred.
It was definitely a great season for Alabama. They started off this year with a previous record of 14-1 and very high hopes. Head coach Nick Saban had to work the team up to their best once again to put forward a better record than before. They started off their season with multiple strong wins with quarterback Jalen Hurts and defensive end Jonathan Allen. Alabama has continued their season as #1 overall with an impressive average winning margin of 28 points. They went 12-0 and 8-0 in the conference, one of the only two teams left with an undefeated season.
Certainly has been all Crimson Tide in the West, but as for the East, the Florida Gators have made their way to the top. Coach Jim McElwain's program finished the season off 8-3 and 6-2 in conference play. Key wins for Florida came against Georgia and most recently against LSU to stamp their ticket into the SEC championship. We'd like to turn now to some MVPs that we want to award to the SEC Conference. Most importantly, on the offensive side of the ball, there is no doubt Jalen Hurts of Alabama stands out.
He did a really great job. He had 21 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions, and a QBR of 70.2.
You mentioned his hard stats there, and that stands out, especially for a true freshman. But as a youth, he has shown such great leadership of controlling that offense under Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
And another player who showed great leadership this year was Myles Garrett, a defensive end from A&M.
Myles Garrett, a great defensive end, as you mentioned. 32 tackles on the season, 8.5 sacks, a leader on that side of the ball, and one of the players that stands out going into the NFL draft this coming season. We'd like to turn now to next season, even though there's a lot of 2016 left to be played, but 2017 is approaching. The reign of Alabama football seems undaunting, and their opportunity to add yet another national championship awaits. But looking ahead to next season, Bailey, how can the Alabama Crimson Tide continue their dominance and carry on this legacy into 2017?
Well, for the past 2 years, Alabama's had a new quarterback to the team. But with the success of Jalen Hurts this year and the fact that he's staying with them next season means they have a lot more potential. They're always one of the best teams, and as long as they don't change too much in their program, I think they're going to be really successful once again.
The Crimson Tide certainly sits on that college football throne, but another program that has its own history of success is LSU. The Tigers fired 10-year head coach Les Miles after the 4th game of the season this year. Coach Ed Orgeron became the interim head coach and went 5-2 serving in that position. As of last Saturday, however, LSU officially signed Orgeron on board as the head coach, a dream come true for Coach Orgeron. What does the hire for Ed Orgeron mean for the LSU football program?
Well, firing a coach in the middle of the season is always really difficult, but LSU started to show really great improvement once they had Ed Orgeron promoted to head coach of the team. He has a lot of potential, has always been a top recruiter, and all of the players really see that and seem to be really happy that he's their head coach for the next season.
Certainly always an exciting year for the SEC. Alabama and Florida, as we mentioned, will compete in that SEC championship on December 3rd as both teams look to stamp their season off with a conference championship. And that's all we're going to have for the SEC exclusive segment on College Press Box. When we return, Emily Stone and Elena Vieira will discuss the all-important college football rankings. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to KVR News. I'm Bailey Abramowitz. Texas football battled over the weekend as they took on West Virginia Mountaineers. After mounting a comeback drive with only seconds remaining, an incomplete pass in the end zone thrown by Shane Buechele led to another Longhorn loss. West Virginia defeated Texas 24-20. Although Texas drops to 7th in the Big 12, an overall record of 5-5, Deontay Foreman put up a stellar performance once again. Foreman rushed for more than 100 yards for the 11th consecutive game and ties Earl Campbell's record. TSTV's very own James Gracos and Mark Skoll Jr. were at DKR on Saturday.
It burns. It's burning them right now in the locker room, but we still have 2 left, and we'll see how we take this game here and use it to our advantage and just continue to get better.
Texas will continue their season this weekend in Lawrence against Kansas, and then they finish off conference play with TCU at home. What does this team need to focus on heading into the final weeks of regular season?
Recently, they've been struggling with their defense, so in their next 2 games, they really need to focus on having a strong defense, and Charlie Strong really needs to put in a good system so that they will beat Kansas and TCU the rest of the regular season.
Bailey, Heisman voters are beginning to eye Deontay Foreman and notice the incredible season that he has had thus far. What kind of performance does he have to have these next 2 games to get a seat in New York come December?
He really needs to pay attention and work on his yards per game, and especially putting on a good game overall. He should be able to have a lot of yards against both Kansas and TCU, and hopefully 150 plus over TCU, which will get him a spot in New York.
All right, thanks for joining us, Bailey. And now our Danny Matthias has our entertainment news. What's new in Hollywood, Danny?